Hey guys, the other thing you want to remember when you're discussing with Muslims is that simultaneously that we're trying to defend the Bible as the revelation of God, and using presuppositionalism, we're going to be trying to demonstrate that it provides the preconditions of intelligibility, as we discussed in our Presupp videos, but that Islam is obligated to provide us at the same time. The burden of proof is also on them to demonstrate that the Quran is the Word of God, that it provides the preconditions of intelligibility. And when you ask them to demonstrate proof that it is, they usually say something like, well, the Quran, it's a miracle of language, that it demonstrates there's beauty and eloquence in prose, that it's supernaturally given, but then when you press them on that, it's like, well, it's only true in Arabic, which roughly less than 5% or so of the population speaks, or maybe less is ever spoken. So for them to say that this is a proof for all nations, all languages, tongues, that this God is this is the Word of God, but it's only in Arabic that it can be demonstrated, and you have to be a linguist and a historian to see how this has changed the Arabic language and whatnot. Now you have to have another field of research to support your claims. Now you have to presuppose science and logic to support this other field of research to demonstrate that the Quran is the Word of God. So that's a dead end. If you try to say, well, further that Muhammad was illiterate, and for him to be able to give this book is also supernatural, that again is weak. So how do we know that Muhammad was illiterate? Do we know infallibly that Muhammad was illiterate 1,400 years ago? I mean, that's quite a claim to say that we know infallibly that he was illiterate. And even if he was illiterate and he gave the Quran, maybe somebody could say, well, he was a savant. Maybe he suffered some injury, head trauma, and was a savant after that. You could say things like that. Doesn't prove that it's absolutely of divine origin. So our claims are that the Bible's of divine origin based on the impossibility of the contrary, and Muslims have to provide the same level of authentication, because the Quran has to have explanatory power for everything we experience. And if it does, then you would expect that the Quran would not need support. If it's self-authenticating, it would not need the support of the Hadith, which is another body of literature that the Muslims hold as authoritative to explain the Quran. And they consider heretical, as a whole, they consider heretical anyone who is a Quran onlyist. They believe that the Quran is all you need, and they reject the Hadith. They don't consider them to be true Muslims. So if the Quran is the Word of God, why does it need the Hadith? And beyond that, the Hadith is not sufficient either. You need experts in Hadith literature, scholars of the Hadith, to determine what's a weak and what's a strong Hadith. And so, these are additional layers that you need to support the Quran. And so it can't therefore provide you with the preconditions of intelligibility. So it's failing in that way. And then furthermore, if someone claims that the Quran provides us with the preconditions of intelligibility, we're going to see that the nature of voluntarism, that God, Allah, is pure will and power and arbitrary and could change his mind, that voluntaristic view, and also the deterministic view that you find in Islam, undermines rationality and morality and science anyway, which we're going to get into that. So again, just remember that the obligation of them also to provide us with evidence that the Quran is the Word of God is necessary. It's rational for them to expect that they can provide objective experience, not the subjective experience like any Mormon would do with the burning in the bosom for the Book of Mormon or whatever, the subjective experience. So continue to press them with the presuppositional necessity of their book. If it's from God, then it's got to be have a transcendental necessity to its teachings. All right.